thank you guys for all being here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, of course. It was so cool to see everyone's energy before we took on stage. They actually seemed to like each other, guys.
Oh, yeah.
It was very cool
actors.
to see. Well, of course, like you said, there's a lot we want to get through, especially with this first episode. So much happens. But of course, Molly, we want to start with you. And first off, we want to say congratulations on this new series.
Thank you.
And of course, for anyone who may not know, the limited series is based on your original own play, LMNOP, which you wrote, casual at Juilliard years ago. So tell me, what made you want to adapt it from stage to screen?
Well, it's funny. The play, it's 5 characters, and it is these characters, which is really funny. But it's 5 characters that happens in one room on one night. And I kept thinking about these characters and lived a lot of life because I wrote it almost 15 years ago. But I kept thinking about this experience I had getting to know this cast in Martha's Vineyard. The one summer I worked at a yacht club with these exclusively rich people and just sort of studied them. And I've been writing about them ever since. It was that impactful. So after Maid, which was wonderful, but sort of a bummer, I was talking, I was with my Netflix group, and we were like, what should we do next? And the play came up, and I don't know, the idea of expanding it into the weekend and being able to hang out with these themes and also expand the world to get to know some of the characters we don't meet that we hear about. So it's a really rich assignment, and glad we did it.
I love that. I love that you said studying rich people. Working in fashion, I do that a lot as well. So, and Meghann, of course, you play Devon, and she's so spunky and so fun. I love her energy, but of course, when we meet her, she's kind of crashing out a little bit.
You could call it that.
You could call it that, but tell me what drew you specifically to her as a character.
Well, I was immediately sort of in love with her sort of sense of humor. I read the pilot and I thought there were so many lines that Molly had written that I couldn't wait to say, and there were so many situations that she had created that I couldn't wait to sort of play out. And so I think for me, really, though, it was the duality of sort of her like harsh exterior and her kind of like brash nature. But then the flip side of that coin really being like her using that to keep people from really knowing her. So she was somebody who felt very relentlessly themselves in whatever environment they were in, which I think is like very exciting to be able to step into that space. It's not how I operate. So it was kind of like liberating to play that. But then in the next second, and again, because Molly wrote it this way, some really incredible vulnerability. So just to kind of like be able to bounce between those two things was like very exciting to me.
I love that. And then Millie, of course, on the other side of the sister spectrum,
Yes.
we have Simone.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you came to understand her as a character and her inspiration.
I think for me, Molly just wrote such a rich character. Like the way that we see her in Ep 1 is not the same girl that we see by episode 5. And for me, she's so far removed from who I am, which was really exciting to play someone who's like the complete opposite of myself. And I think I couldn't really like understand the way that she approached kind of the world around her, but I could really understand the feelings that she had felt and constantly trying to like keep a lid on her life and her own emotions. And she does feel kind of like a ticking time bomb. Like she's kind of this very she's like a glass kind of doll. Like she at any moment could just completely snap open. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to lean into her flaws fully. Yeah.
And we really do see the major differences between the sisters on display in this too, where I feel like Devon is very much giving eldest sister, and anyone who's an eldest daughter knows that vibe. And then, of course, with Simone, also don't count out the little sister ever. So I think that's something you see later on in the episodes, as you guys will see later this week. But Glenn...
That's me.
Let's talk about Ethan, because he's a special guy and pretty different from what your fans have maybe seen from you in the past with other roles.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was besides the fact that the script was so phenomenal, and the ensemble that was being assembled was so incredibly exciting at the possibility of working with these people. but I just loved that I was being offered to play sort of a sweet, gentle, guy. He's a bit naive. He's a bit oblivious in some ways. And I feel like I'm always being asked to play narcissists and and angry, belligerent jerks. So it was nice to play a sweet guy. It really was. It does Hugh actually a little bit closer to who I am as a real person. I'm a nice guy, I swear.
He really is.
Yeah, he really is.
I love it. Thank you for that. And then Felix, I love your character. I've been lucky to see all the episodes, so I get to see how each of these characters evolve. But I love Jose because, in my opinion, and maybe you'll disagree with me, Molly, but I feel like Jose runs that house.
100%.
Jose runs that estate mansion, but his character is so special because he really balances between being a caretaker but also being the boss and being an enforcer. So what did it take to kind of put together all of the different layers to him?
Well, it's super easy. I've been saying this all day, and I will say it for the rest of my life. It's super easy to play good music when the sheet music you're playing is written well. I believe I'm an instrument. And so I look at a piece of sheet music and I go, this is going to sound really beautiful. And when I play it, you guys hear that. So I played really good written sheet music. And the idea behind the different facets of it were, that's the kind of kid in a sort of candy store, if you will, when every day I would come to work and I go, oh, today I get to do with this person, or I'm with this person, or I'm with that person. So I just come prepared and then stop and listen and react and be sort of in the moment enough that I can play the different colors as necessary, because the colors were painted for me. So right, I'm in front of a person who is a very demanding individual, and you go, okay, great. So I know that color, so I can play that, and then, or I'm someone who's difficult and kind of calculated with me, and so I go, oh, okay, this is a chess match, so I get to play the chess match today. But it all starts with the page, and the page was, I believe, expertly created. So, yeah.
What a beautiful compliment.
Drinks on me after this, yeah.
And to talk a little bit more about casting, Molly, because there's these two little-known actors named Julianne Moore and Kevin Bacon who are also in this series. Tell me about when it came time to really pick who was going to be in this series. What was the casting process like?
Well, it was wonderful because we got exactly what we wanted, which never happens, as you know. We started with the sisters because just be the spine of the show, getting them right. And I was kind of particularly nervous about finding our Devon because she's a really difficult character. I say that as if having seen a lot of regional productions of this play, that she's tough to get right because she is kind of mean and sarcastic and hard to like, but underneath has this incredible empathy and humor. And so, I knew Devon was going to be hard. And when we met Meghann, we were just like exuberant that she liked the script and wanted to do this, because I don't think anyone's seen Meghann play a role like this. And so I know we got to discover Devon together, which is really, I like to write while we're shooting. I like to work with actors. So it was really incredible. And then, so from there, it was like, okay, well, so now we need our Simone. And Millie is Supergirl, literally, but also, but, when she came in and read Simone and we pictured the two of them together, and I don't know the break, could anyone else play these roles? I feel like no, right? It's just, these are our sisters.
Thanks, Molly. It's really sweet.
Yeah, thanks, Molly. And then from there, Julie just slated in really well. She loves birds. We really lucked out. She read the script. She loves birds. We were like, maybe Julie
Sometimes
will do
that's
it.
all
I
it
don't know, but
takes.
she loves birds. And then our guys, we got who we wanted. It worked out perfect. And the men are actually so important to the show because they're like the metronome of it. Like, I love Jose talks about the music, but the men actually are the engine that keeps the humor alive in the show. And so to find Glenn and Felix and our other gentlemen that aren't here, like, yeah, again, just what a blessing from the gods, the casting gods.
And let's talk a little bit more about the sister dynamic of it all. I love a sister drama. Like, that's all you have to tell me in the log line, and I'm seated, I'm there, I'm a middle sister. I'm traumatized. So I'm always seated for a sister drama. But Meghann and Millie, you know, tell me about what did you both have to do off screen to kind of create this very nuanced and complex sister relationship that we see on screen?
Not much. No, seriously though, it was a very easy connection, a very natural chemistry, and again, just to kind of echo what everyone else has been saying, like the writing is so good that it was so easy to drop into those sort of like heightened emotional scenes together. It never felt hard to do that.
No.
So we got just the luckiest because we just were set up to succeed because of what Molly kind of set up for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and like also, I mean, the writing is impeccable. Like it was such a gift as an actor to be able to do that. But also, Meghann, you're just such an open and accessible actor that like with all of our
I got
scenes,
literally back at you though, seriously.
but with like all of our scenes that you'll see, hopefully, if you continue watching the show, like you were just so present and so there that we got to kind of go and try so many different versions of their relationship. So yeah, it was really easy, which is amazing.
I will add to that, because we're the SAG-AFTRA Foundation talkback, that as actors, it is sometimes rare that happens. More so than you would want to think. Sometimes we have to get to work and we have to find a way to get along. We have to find a way to coexist inside of a project. So it's and there's no way to anticipate that. So there's no way to set that up for success. There's no way to do that. So the magic, the sort of fantastic realism, if you will, of our show, of our project, is that happened naturally. It really did genuinely happen naturally. There was no like, oh man, I have to figure out how to coexist at work, because it happens. It's the truth, you know. But not here. I don't believe I ever sensed that anyone was like, oh, we got to figure this out. It was all like, cool. You know, it's kind of like you shoot a pilot and then someone comes up to you and goes, how many seasons have you been on? And we were like, no, that's just the pilot, right? So
Yeah.
I love that you jumped in to say that, though, because I also really love you and Megan's dynamic on screen. It's so fun. And, you know, music keeps being brought up, but it's almost like a dance that we're seeing on screen. Tell me a little bit about, you know, the banter between your two characters.
Well, again, dream come true for me, 27 years in this industry, twice, this show being the second time that someone asked me what I thought as an actor, right? And I was asked what I thought. And I think that's why I was able to be who I was with her. Because when you ask, you go, great, this is a collaboration. Like, you mean I don't just show up, say the lines, and go home? No, you're going to. And so that happened naturally, one. And two, our directors, just super talented women directors who were able to allow us to play. I mean, if there were outtakes of this show, that's a whole other season. Do you know what I mean? Because we were given a moment, we executed what we executed, and we played the music as per writ, and then we were also given a moment to just play. And you may not have seen the actual improvisational moments that we had, but you felt them in the product that you did see. And that's a relationship that's, you know, outside the lines, if you will, outside the screen relationships that come in and you see them. But that's part of it too, is that we were asked to play and we did, you know, I think. I don't know. You tell me, huh?
Oh my God, yeah, totally. I mean, I think we started sort of together. That was kind of my entry point into the whole story, was working with you at the very, very beginning of the schedule. And I felt so lucky that was true, because you're so generous and wonderful and you have such great ideas. And I love that dynamic between Devon and Jose, because it's very sort of playful and it feels kind of safe, you know, like they kind of get each other a little bit. You know, Devon's showed up at this place where she doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And he's kind of the only character that's like, I get it. And she's like, thank God, you know? So it's like this really beautiful little friendship that you do kind of buy into, I think, kind of right off the top. And it was just so easy to do that with you.
Right back at you.
And Millie and Glenn, obviously, you two's character relationship is central to what's going on in this series.
Yeah.
I was just letting you guys laugh. No worries. No, but tell me a little bit about that dynamic, because I feel like audiences will watch this and they could maybe see it two different ways. But I also think that's purposeful. So when you guys were reading the script and reading more about your characters' relationships, what were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we keep saying it, but I mean, the script was magnificent. But I'd never met Millie before. You know, you get a sense of it when you do the table read, and we did a table read, and it was just, it played so well. It sounded so good out loud, and then, you know, we went to a dinner together and started to sort of get to know each other. And then I actually remember I actually pulled Millie aside and I was like, hey, we should like get lunch together. We should get to know each other a little bit more. And then you remember we both like.
What did we do?
Well, we went to lunch and
The
then
worst memory in the world.
yeah.
We're there, Millie.
Yeah. You just didn't show up, straight up.
No, I didn't.
No, you did. You were there. You were there. Wow. But we had both been. There was like something, I can't remember what it was, but like something really
What?
bad was going on with me. And then
Yes.
I was talking to you, and I was like,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted because this, and this happened. And then you also had a thing. You were like, yeah, and I also like, and I won't get personal, but like, it was.
Oh,
like
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You were going through a thing, and I was going through a thing, and so we were. We're trying to have this like we're trying to have we're trying to have this lunch together. You know, find like a connection, and like you know, we're both like we're both somewhere else. Like
on different planets right now.
But I'm so glad we did it. I'm
That's so the two of you on the show
Actually,
as well.
actually,
Both
yes.
Like, sorry, I'm looking at you, but there's stuff that I'm paying attention to somewhere else.
Yeah, 100%. No, but I'm actually glad it happened because then after that, everything was so much easier because it really was. It really was. But no, I mean, it really is all about the person that you're working with and, you know, the energy and collaborativeness that they bring to it. And, you know, when you're working intimately with somebody, obviously that can be very uncomfortable. So I was grateful to be working with somebody that made me feel comfortable. And I tried to make you feel comfortable. I don't know. But it ended up actually being quite silly and fun.
It was so silly.
Yeah.
It was also like, it was both of our, wasn't our first days?
It was the first day.
It was-
yeah, it was. Oh, was it your first day too?
My first day.
It was my first day.
It's kind
shooting.
of awful.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, not gonna lie.
Yep.
like, you know, you have to do
Yep.
that on
Yep.
screen.
Yep.
First day. Anyway, nice to meet you.
It really was.
Hi, crew. Nice to meet all of you. Fuck. All right, here we go. But no, yeah, I think for me, it was just really important that these two people like genuinely liked each other and like cared about each other.
Yeah.
And there is a power imbalance, but I sometimes think that Simone had more of the power.
In
sometimes.
retrospect, for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, we had fun.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
That's all that matters. We love it. We love
Just a
it.
bit of fun.
Yes. And, you know,
My favorite thing that she says.
and obviously we've spent some time talking about the men on the show, but of course this is a story that's deeply about women and the complex relationships between them. And Molly, I'd love to hear more from you about, you know, whether it was when you were working on this 15 years ago or when you were working for it now, what really drew you to explore, you know, the complex connections between women?
Well, I think I'm fascinated by women, especially. No offense to my dudes, but I'm just fascinated by women, and especially it's like a weird time to be a woman right now. Am I right? It's like, I don't know. So I just gravitate to them. But what got me interested in this was my daughter's studying Greek mythology at school, and she came home and was talking about the Sirens myth, that there's these three women on the island and they're mean monsters who just kill men for fun by singing and having their boats crash. And then she was like, Mom, what's their
Sounds cool.
problem? She was like, what's their problem? Why did they do that? And I was like, I have no idea. And I realized, you know, and I told her this, we only know the story from the sailor's point of view. We don't know anything about those three women. And really, you know, one of the things I learned that summer observing these wealthy women and being very judgmental of them is that I didn't know very much about them either. We just make assumptions about these relationships and these women, I think particularly the sort of seductresses among us. So it felt like a rich stew to dive back into the story.
I love it. And because I know we're getting close on time, I would love to hear from each of you about, without giving too much away, because obviously the rest of the episodes are coming out later this week, but tell me, do you have a favorite moment or episode while making this that you hold dear? And Molly, we can start with you.
I have one for each of them. But I will say there is one of my favorite moments. It is a Meghann Fahy moment, and I think you just saw it because it's in the pilot. She is hot and she's making her way to the house, and she drinks out of the hose. And I wrote it, and I was like, no actor's going to do this, but I'm going to put it in. And not only did Meghann do it, we did like 40 takes. She was like down there. She was like, but it was also the whole crew just cracked up, and it was early in the shoot. And we were just like, she's in the best way. Like she'll go as far as the joke will go. And so it's a happy moment on screen, but it was a happy moment off screen too.
Aw, that's so nice. Yeah, that was one of the aforementioned moments that I couldn't wait to play out that I had read in the pilot that I thought, oh my God, this is so fun. There are so many for me, but one in particular that comes to mind is actually in episode 2, so you haven't seen it yet, but it's a scene between Devon and Simone in Simone's sort of suite at the house. And Molly wrote this beautiful, like 8-page scene for these two characters, which is so rare in television. It's just they don't do that usually. So, and it sort of, it goes all through her suite, like the entrance, the closet, the bathroom, the bedroom. And we figured out, with the incredible help of our director and also our crew, like how we could shoot it in one take. Not that we only did it one time, but that we didn't have to break the 8-page scene up into a bunch of different pieces. So we got, as actors, to sort of really feel the scene and feel the emotional sort of journey of it in real time, and build and build and build, as opposed to kind of taking one step and staying there. And then, it's like, it was very special. I feel like at the end of that day, we were both like, whoa. Like, that was one of, I think, my most special days I've ever had on any set ever. So that would be mine.
Mine is exactly the same answer as Megan's answer. It was that day was like so much fun, and we shot the scene. Felix and Julie were also in it, and we shot the end of the scene at the start, and then they went home, and then me and Meghann just kind of got to get into it. And it felt like a play. Like, it was just such a joy, and I think that's the first time that you see. Why'd I snap?
Very good snap.
Thank you.
Sharp snap.
Thank you. I'm glad you noticed. But it was like the first time that we kind of get to see, I think, Simone like drop that facade, and like she gets to be. We kind of see who she is, like, with Devon.
They go full buffalo
together. And that day was such a joy. We had a little beer outside. Remember the other day?
Yeah.
After at like 11 o'clock at night. Like,
And standing
see you
ovation from the crew.
oh yeah.
Well, it was just like technically
So
impressive.
fun.
Like,
Because
our
every
camera guys were
boom,
like
right?
down and up and trying to
Around.
stay out of each other's way. Like, we didn't have any marks
Yeah.
or anything. Like,
Anything.
they just put the cameras on and we rolled until the end of the scene. It was like
So
very
fun.
impressive from that perspective. So yeah.
Aaron Sorkin, eat your heart out.
One of my favorite moments, at least in this episode, because I'm afraid of giving anything away, has nothing to do with me whatsoever. But it's when you pull up in the golf cart and you start. And you're already like texting on the, and when we just, it's just it's like for me, it was just so funny to like look in the background at everyone, like, somebody would be like mowing the lawn and then they would stop and like pull their phone out. It was like deep in the background. And it was just that whole bit was so funny to me. I mean, it's like, it's infuriating as a comedy writer to watch someone build this wonderful suspense drama and then also fill it with better jokes than I could ever write. But no, I just laughed so hard at that watching it the first time. I loved it in the script, but in seeing it play out was really like
Hey, that's a little callback
to bring that back around. Yeah.
Snapping now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun.
Okay, I'm going to allow myself to be a bit contrarian just for a second. I'm not going to tell you about my favorite moment in the show because I want you guys all to see and enjoy it for the first time the way I did when I watched. I will say my favorite moment was being asked to do it. Was when I got the call.
Yes, applaud for that.
When I got the call saying that they wanted me to do it. That to me was my favorite moment. Also because before we wrap, Mary, where are you, Mary? Hi, sweetie. I just wanted to say hi. I love you. I might spin out, but she's a fellow theater company member of ours. We're in the same theater company together. And I thought she was here, and I thought, hi. Hi. But yeah.
Well, I promise there are much more memorable Jose moments to come along with all of you guys. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
Make sure you guys tune in May 22nd, and it's so bingeable. You can watch it in one night, I promise. Make sure you watch and enjoy, and if everyone can remain seated really quickly, but thank you so much for being here tonight.